Okay, I'm going to talk about the Daredevil finale, or the Daredevil Born Again finale, because I thought it was good and bad, and I'm going to get into my little rant on this. Here's the issue I had about Daredevil Born Again. Is it a good show? That one episode that I watched, that I think I actually did a full talk about it when I talked about Marvel once, I thought was gold. Sometimes a show just gives that one perfect episode and you just go, it's great. The issue with Daredevil Born Again is that it is very clearly trying to be this very episodic show that takes place within the Marvel universe, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but several things about it don't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, this is a kind of and I mentioned here that watching Daredevil Born Again is a lot like watching the show The Boys, where it's like they're obviously ripping everything they can from our headlines now to make this superheroes as metaphor story. And Daredevil Born Again really tries to do it. When you see the scene where the Kingpin wins as mayor of New York City, you can't help but think about this, how Trump got reelected, and you can't help but feel the same feelings here. And then, as the series kind of went along, there's this idea that Kingpin is essentially very much corrupting and perverting the police force as it is. When he hears that there is a serial killer on the loose, he deputizes certain officers to go without body cams and authorizes uses of excessive force so they can take down all kinds of things. And now, here's the other thing that I don't think I've talked about before. The Punisher has returned. Now, the Punisher is one of those Marvel characters that, honestly, I don't really think fits into Marvel very well. I mean, he does occasionally sometimes do that, but when he's in a story, he's often the villain fighting against the hero of that particular book. Because the Punisher has only one power, a gun, and he goes and he shoots criminals. So if you do the crime, you do the time, provided that time is death. So, and he was a part of that Daredevil show for a little while, and there were some good episodes with him in it. There's definitely, this is definitely a character who has a lot of pain going on with him, and is very much not supposed to be seen as a hero. I'm not really serious. I don't think he's even supposed to be seen as an anti-hero, but he's seen, I think, as kind of a warning of what rage against injustice can do to a person, that they will just lash out and stuff like that. Now, here's the terrible thing about this that happened this season. There was a character who was called White Tiger, a mass vigilante that Daredevil defended in court, and he actually managed to win his case, only to be shot by a certain person who was wearing the Punisher skull as like a t-shirt. Now, honestly, I'm going like, I don't know who these people are in this show who think they should be wearing the Punisher logo on them and then fighting crime with it, because you know they're going to be fighting crime with guns and using lethal force, okay? And if you see that person on the street, I guess your response is run the other way, and hopefully, and don't be in their sight, do a little serpentine kind of thing, because seriously. And and I think that was before Kingpin officially authorized these people. And so the sad part is that the actor that played White Tiger is in fact actually dead in real life. So I kind of feel like that's kind of a send-off, because I guess, but not really the best send-off. I don't know. It'd be kind of like if they, what would be a good example? Do you remember when they did the film The Dark Knight, and we all knew that Heath Ledger, the guy that played the Joker in the film, had actually died a few months before the film had been released? Can you imagine what that ending would have been like if the Joker had died in it? I think we all would have went like, ugh. And, but I think maybe, because in the film I thought that was weird that Batman let the Joker live at the end of the film, which to me I felt like, that's kind of strange. He must be pretty angry at him by now. I mean, shouldn't he try and stop him? I would authorize lethal force in the case of this. But I get the feeling like that was done that way because maybe they had planned to do a sequel with Ledger in it. I don't know. Who knows? But in the case of, and speaking of things we don't know, we are seeing the Punisher being involved in this thing, and this is where I'm going to have to say that to call this show Born Again is an insult to the storyline that I think it's that I thought it was trying to do, because it's going its whole different direction. It's doing its own thing, and that's not a good thing. If they were actually to adapt the Daredevil Born Again storyline that Frank Miller wrote back in the late 80s, oh my gosh, it would be, I don't know. I really felt that was already a blueprint, and they decided to build away from that blueprint. And I went like, okay, fine, you're doing your own story. Well, don't call it that story that you're referring to, because I'm not really certain what they're... I mean, at this point in time, Matt Murdock gave up being the Daredevil and then had to go back to it. And when he did, I didn't really feel like it was very, I really felt like that moment would have been a bit more spotlighted than it actually was. I think he just heard that there was like, oh, I guess somebody's, you're in the same room with the serial killer? I'll be right there. And then he just kind of shows up in costume. And then I'm kind of like, well, that's it? So I guess he had a backup costume, because usually when you get into these things where the hero has to get back in costume, it's done at this very heroic moment, and you try and make it as iconic as possible. It didn't really go that way at all. And I kind of went like, you had that opportunity, stuff like that, but you just didn't take it. So by the end of the show, here's the thing. Second to last episode, the Kingpin is about to be shot by Bullseye, who has broken himself out of prison just to shoot the Kingpin. And I don't think he shows up any more than just to do that, at least this season. And Matt Murdock takes the bullet for Kingpin. And takes the bullet square in the chest. And then a few hours later, or a few days later, I can't really tell, he's up on his feet again. And he... at this point in time, I think Kingpin is essentially really gunning for him, literally, with people with guns. And Matt meets up with the Punisher, and they kind of escape. And they do this really cool action scene, which I have to admit heralds back to the whole Netflix show, which would often do these very long, drawn-out action scenes that were really iconic and really awesome to see. And so by the end of the show, Matt is sort of on the run. And the Punisher is captured by Kingpin. And there's a scene where all those corrupt cops, the ones that don't wear body cams and are given lethal force justification by Kingpin, kind of surround Frank Castle, the Punisher, and they basically tell him how much they admire him. And they ask him to join, and he just says kind of like, no. And I kind of went like, I think I see what you're doing here. Because there are people, like very extreme right-wing people that really admire the Punisher. Like, I've seen that Punisher logo on the bumper stickers on a lot of cars. And that does scare me. And that really does. Because I think these people really believe that this idea that using lethal force to basically take on a lawlessness is the ultimate solution. But this particular Punisher in this thing realizes you guys are just like bad imitations of me. And I get the feeling the Punisher doesn't really enjoy what he does. And I actually feel like he's more drawn to do it like an addict is drawn to things. And I think even he is starting to realize that on the show. And yeah, there's a post-credits sequence, which I might as well reveal now since we're past the 9-minute mark, where you see the Punisher escape from his cell. And I'm not really certain what direction they could go with this show now, but I have to admit there were kind of tears in my eyes in hearing Matt Murdock telling us through a voiceover to resist, rebel, and rebuild. And I really felt like, okay, this is where we're at now, aren't we, as a nation? And I had to admit, it's a strong ending. Does it feel preachy? A little. But yeah, we kind of are there, aren't we? Anyway, you should check this out if you like the Daredevil show. And yeah, this is Mark from the Geek Church signing off.